everyone, it's Krista here with Blooms and Brushstrokes. Thank you for joining me in this video. If you are new to my channel, welcome to the channel and thank you so much for stopping in. And for those of you that have been here before and are subscribers, thank you so much for continuing to support the channel and for making it a lot of fun for me, for all your comments, all your questions, all your support, all that good stuff. You guys are awesome. You make it so much fun to have this channel. So thank you, thank you, thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here. In the last tutorial I did, I was demoing the Fuumuui opaque watercolor set, the muted colors, which are really beautiful. And I was trying to figure out all week kind of where their place is in what I do, because I love watercolor paints. Like, I like the transparency of them. I like the brightness, the boldness, anyways. And so with these Fuumuui colors, I really love them, and I love the muted. I love how muted they are, and that they do have a place in the painting. And I know that Fuumuui actually has a lot of other colors, and while they aren't necessarily artist grade colored paints, they are tons of fun to work with. And so I was playing around with them a little bit this week, and the one thing that I really realized is that they are incredible. These muted ones that I have here, these are incredible for the background colors. They're muted, they're not too in your face. So I had a little bit of fun with that. And I thought, you know what? Because I've only done, I think, maybe one tutorial with you guys with the background, kind of that new style that I've been working on, I thought, well, maybe we'll do another tutorial using some of the Fuumuui paints. I'm going to use the Mungyo paints. And then somebody also commented that they would like to see more of my cards done, or of my paintings done in a card. And so while I am going to do that today specifically on a card, because I do have some card stock, all of the paintings that I do can be done in a smaller scale on a card. So any of them that I've done in the past they're all actually relatively small. So you can just take that and put it onto a card and, you know, size it down a little bit, and it'll work just perfectly fine. In fact, what I've been doing, this is kind of what we're going to work on today, something similar to this, but what I've been doing is just taking these entirely, and just on the back side, I just, happy birthday, happy Mother's Day, whatever. And so I just take this whole entire thing and give it away as a card. You can buy cards that are this huge at the store these days, even bigger. So, and this isn't that big. I think my uncle and I, we measured it, and I can't remember the exact size, but they're not huge. So you can totally use it like a postcard, a card. But today, for the sake of somebody asking to do a few more that could be used as cards, I thought, well, I haven't used a card in a long time, so why not have a little bit of fun? So today we're going to do something, as I said, similar. I'll probably use some different colors. I haven't decided yet, but something similar to this, but on a card. So it's just a little bit smaller. Again, they're Cosmos. Cosmos are one of my favorite flowers, and I've been having a lot of fun painting them. So I looked back actually, I'm like, oh, I have some similar tutorials of these, but doesn't matter. We're going to work on that today and just play around a little bit more in depth with you guys in the background. Just so that you guys can understand what I'm doing, because I've been playing around a little bit more, and so I have a little bit more of a better handle on the background color or painting as well. So again, as I always tell you guys before we get going, what I'm going to use. So I've got Mungyo paints today. I've already activated them, so I don't want to. These ones. The reason I love them is because of the variety of colors that they have in there and the brightness. And then I also have the Fuumuui paints, the ones that I did the tutorial of last week. So I've got, whoopsies, those. My cats stepped in them a couple times. And there's been like little blue paw prints everywhere. Whoops. Tex is his name, and he sometimes joins us, but he's actually been very well behaved. I think he's getting to know that we do tutorials on Saturdays, and he leaves me alone a little bit. So for paintbrushes, I love to use my number 8 Aqua Elite. If you guys know me, maybe I should use something. Well, I'm on a little bit of a smaller paper today, so I think I'll probably stick with the number 8 Aqua Elite Princeton round brush. I absolutely love that brush. I also use a 10-0 liner brush. we'll be using that for doing some fine detailed painting with the metallic ink. I also use a Micron Archival Ink 01 pen. Any size will do, but the bigger the number, so like a 03, a 02, 03, they get larger. So 01 is a nice fine tip. I have to go into the city today, so I might actually run by the art store and see if I can't grab a few of the 0.05s, just a little bit smaller. Well, I don't know. I would like to try them. And then the other one I'm going to use too for a paintbrush is the number 1 script. That's a Nocturna Royal and Langnickel. It's a very fine one as well. I use that for splattering paint at the end. And as far as brushes, that's pretty much what I'll be using today. I've got water. I always tape my page down with this white masking tape, but it's not super sticky, so it doesn't ruin your page when you peel it up. I did order it off Amazon, and I can try to find the link for that for you guys as well. I'll put that in there if you guys need that. And then what I'm using for cardstock, doesn't have a name on it. It's Strathmore. It's the Strathmore cardstock. They're also from Amazon. They come in packages of 50. That's what they are. Okay, I'm going to link that in the description as well for you guys if you care to use them. They are 5 by 7? 5 by 7, I think? Yeah. 5 by 7 cards. And then, last but not least, the last few paintings I've been using the Winsor & Newton gold metallic ink. And so it's calligraphy ink. And the reason that I choose to use calligraphy ink predominantly is because it's more, I guess we'll say, opaque. It is more opaque. And so it's not as transparent or translucent. And so it has a little bit more brightness and depth to it. So that's why I choose the calligraphy metallic ink. I just haven't really dove into the metallic inks or metallic paint sets yet because I'm more interested in, I don't care to use like a ton of different colors, I don't think, in the metallic ink. So I haven't done that venture yet. I know that there's some really great metallic paint sets out there. I just haven't gone down that rabbit hole yet because they are on the higher end of like pricing, which is totally fine. But I would rather invest that into like full watercolor sets that I would use. So I am saving up for the Stonehenge watercolor paint set. And in fact, I think I'll be able to get that here soon. But because I've been staining my deck lately and my deck has taken me way more stain than I ever possibly imagined, the watercolor paints get put on the back burner. But that's all good because I just got this set of Fuumuui paints and they are going to be sending me another palette of something different to demo as well. So that's cool. So I've got plenty of paints kicking around, all good and fine. So with text in the background meowing, I'm gonna go let them out and get all your stuff together, get everything ready to roll, and let's do this tutorial. As you can see, I have sketched out my flowers a little bit because these can easily get right out of control and become a big mess. Let's see if must have tossed it. Anyways, I was working on one the other night and it just became just a big old mess of colors. So anyway, I'm going to tell you guys what colors we're going to work with. We're using the Mungyo. So we're going to work with the, Crimson Lake, Madder Rose, the Raw Sienna, and perhaps some purple, just a little bit of fun in there. So those are the colors we're going to work with for the flowers. And then as far as the background and the stems go, then we will be working with the Fuumuui. We're going to be using these green grays, these, and then who knows what we'll do for the background color. So, but I'll keep you guys posted as we go along and whatever we're using so that you guys know. So we can get started. All right. We are going to work from the left side of the page over to the right side of the page. So as I said, we're going to use the Crimson Lake, the Rose Madder, the Raw Sienna, some purple, and we're going to go from there. So we're going to start off with that Crimson Lake. I really love this color. It's a magenta type color. So again, lots of water on your brush and lots of pigment on your brush. I'm not going to put dots in every single petal because I want to leave some with no paint in them or hardly any. So I'm going to kind of go around and here, you know, do maybe every other one, maybe a couple beside each other, and that's with the Crimson Lake. Then I'm going to go down and put a little bit of that rose madder in. So perhaps one dot of that, small, big, whatever, however much you want. And then we're going to go in and put in some of that raw sienna, which is that orangey colored one. And I think we'll stick away from the purple for this one. So get your brush cleaned off, dried off, as I've showed you before. Get it wet, tap it off on the side a few times. So we're going to start up top here. And we're just going to push that away, come down. Oopsie daisy. Good enough for that one. This one's, oh, I got a splatter of water there. So we're going to go up with this. They don't need to be totally perfect. Come down with this one. And we're going to go up with this one. So what I'm doing when I do that, gosh, clean off your brush here. Got too many things going on in my brain right now. What I'm doing is just adding a teeny bit of color in there from what's left over on my brush because I don't want them stark white, but I do want some in there. So when I'm doing the dots, I'm starting to push down with the water on the brush, the clean brush, before I hit the color. So I'll show you on this one here. But that gives you an opportunity for that water to run down and run, like, because you're starting the water at the bottom or closer to the center. So let's work on this one down here. Again, we're going in with our, whoopsie, Crimson Lake. I'm going to go with a little extra Crimson Lake on this one. And then we're going to add in our madder, rose madder. Some of that raw sienna. Small dots, because these are smaller flowers. And then for the fun of this one, let's add in a little bit of that purple. And we'll go a little bit closer to the center with that purple. Clean off your brush again. So what I mean by when I say clean off your brush, and we're going to start by pushing down closer to the center of the flower and then dragging upwards. And then just organically flowing up, just like so. It's okay if you have these wispy little edges. That's perfect. Cosmos have those kind of very delicate wispy edges. They're such a beautiful flower. And they're ripply and they're, I just love them. I have some started and they're, well, actually there's one that's going to start blooming. These look great. So the center of a Cosmo is quite yellow. So I'm actually going to go tap a little bit of this in here. It's pretty dried up, but if you wanted to tap some yellow in while it was still wet, it would kind of bloom out a bit. This one here, I'm going to take a little bit of that. Just took a little bit of that paint from this one that's really dark, and I'm just putting a teeny little bit of that into those petals. Again, that I want to keep lighter. Maybe we'll hit the center of this one with a little bit more purple. Just to add a little bit of depth in there. And then we can add some yellow. So I guess I didn't mention that, but I'm just using a straight yellow. So just use whatever yellow you have on your, that's a nice, this is just a yellow. And we're just doing a few dots of that in the center because Cosmos are bright yellow. You don't want to hit too much of that purple because you don't want it to turn muddy. So keep your dots quite in the center. You can touch the purple a little bit, but you don't want it to just all of a sudden become all purple. It's okay if some of it's in there, but you don't want a ton of it. So that looks really pretty for that one too. So we're going to move on to the far right one. I hope that makes sense when I say that I'm just going to show you guys here quickly on this paper. So we're putting our dots down. So we're going to have, you know, Crimson Lake. And then we've got our madder, rose madder, raw sienna. So then we clean off our brush, have quite a bit of water on it, and then we're starting below it and then moving up into it. Because if water wants to naturally flow a little bit lower, then it will just kind of naturally soften, move, whatever. And so that kind of helps it to not just be a blunt start, you know? And so that kind of helps that there. So again, just as practice, because I know that sometimes this can be a little bit challenging to figure out, you know, how much water, where to start it. So we've got quite a bit of water on our brush, tapped it off a couple times. And then just kind of play with those petals. You know, and that's what I mean. There's like a little bit of color left on there. Oh, you can add another petal in there with that remaining color without having to do a dot. You're just using little bits of that color that's left on that brush, you know? And before you know it, you have this gorgeous shape that you can make into a beautiful petal. So that's what I mean by dropping down that water before you actually hit the dot. So we're going to get working on this far one over here, you guys. Putting down our crimson. We're going to use some more purple. I like how that purple turned out, but we're going to start down with our Crimson Lake, Rose Madder. I really like this combo of colors together. It's really pretty. Raw Sienna. If you want more of one of these colors, then add one more dot. But remember, so we're putting purple in closer to the center again. You know, the more dots you have, the more paint there is, the more it can become messy. So we're going to start here on this far one and push up. Just like so. And we're going to go beside that one there. Start before it. And I'm not going to hit that petal beside it too much. I don't want too much there. Clean off your brush. In between every one, clean off that brush of yours because you'll get too much going on, too much color, and then it'll become very muddy. Okay, that looks great. Those colors are beautiful. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of color in here and I'm just going to dilute the heck out of it. And I'm just going to go in and add a little bit of color to these petals that were stark white. And I'm telling you, just a little. Okay, and again, let's do a couple dots of that purple for fun. And then go in with your yellow, as a Cosmo has those really yellow centers, as I said. Not a whole big bunch. You don't need to color it totally in. Just dot it up in there. And then we have our flowers done for now. What we're going to do with the flowers is add in the line and the metallic. So we're good with what we have right now. We're going to let those totally dry and then we're going to work on our background and our stems. So let those totally dry, you guys. At this point, if we want to go and add in the stems, we totally can. And so what I used for the stems was the Fuumuui, and this is nice because they're really matte colors, which I love. The Fuumuui Green Gray 3, but the yellow gray would also be beautiful. So you know what? I'm going to switch it up today and I'm going to use the yellow gray as the stem today. The green gray is beautiful, but I'm just going to try something different. So we're going to go in with the Fuumuui yellow gray for our stems. And for working with some of the background, we'll use some of the yellow gray colors, I think. Maybe mix in with a little bit of the brown gray in there. So just the best part about watercolor painting is just going in and exploring. If you think every piece needs to come out a masterpiece, then sometimes you lose the fun of just being creative. So the one thing with doing these tutorials has really helped me is just to try new things because I I wanted these to be exciting for you guys too, and exciting for me too. Like I don't want to just continually repeat the same thing over and over again. Even though my style, my technique is very similar, it's fun to try new things. So I'm taking that yellow, gray 3, quite a bit of that, because we want quite a solid stem here, but we don't want it to overtake the flowers too much. But we just want to put in some very fine stems. The stems of a Cosmo are very, they are quite fine, delicate. Cosmos are a delicate flower. They have delicate leaves, everything. So just throw those in there like that. And we'll just let everything dry. But yeah, the nice thing about watercolor and playing around is that it makes it fun and interesting for me as well as for you. I have the technique that I really like to use and the supplies I like to use, but I love to play around with every single painting that I do so that I learn something new every single time myself. And I think that's the most important thing for a hobby or for an artist is continual growth and learning. If you're not, I don't know if an artist could ever say that they're not learning something new all the time. I don't know if you could. All right, so that's enough of that. Let's move on. The flower over here is very dry, and the flowers are drying up very fast, so we can work on the background. So the fun with the background is you're going to take a clean brush. And in fact, right now my water is pretty peach colored, if you guys can see that. Yeah, it's pretty peach colored. So if you wanted to, you could go and actually get some fresh new water. Or I just got some clean water so that we can start with a fresh background. And I truly love how the Fuumuui opaque paints look in the background. So I'm going to start working on the left-hand side, and just for note, my centers are still wet, so I have to be very careful to not bump into them. So I'm just going to loosely hold my brush, and I'm going to start by just placing some water down and just softly feathering it as it goes down. And I'm going to start with this with the yellow gray 2 for this background right now. I'm just going to make sure it's not too crazy yet. So oh, this is going to be beautiful. And so around the flowers, I like to have it a little bit darker. And then as it flows down, just pull it down softly. If you want to go in and add like a little bit more intensity around the flower, you totally can. Just by putting that color right around the petals and then just dragging it down like so. And then up here, I don't want it to look too abrupt. So I'm just going to take a clean brush and I'm going to just get in there and I'm going to pull it upwards. And we can pull a little bit of that color up here. Awesome. I think that looks really great. So we're going to go into the middle here and add a little bit of that into the center. So clean brush, and we're going to put down that water first. And you can get it close to the stem. If the stem bleeds into this, that's okay. We'll go and we'll go back over the stem so it's really sharp. So again, with that green or yellow gray 2, just soft. I love how this background technique looks so much. As I said in kind of one of the videos, is that I like the idea of having background, but I never really could, I haven't, up until this, I haven't really found something that I didn't think looked tacky to me. Sometimes it just can be too much. And I love the attention being on the flowers. So I was just playing around and just kind of came across, like just out of playing around and having fun, this background kind of came to me. And so it's soft. It kind of works with the style of painting I got going on. Well, not kind of, I think it does. And and I'm loving it. So I'm still working with the green gray too. If you wanted to use something, if you don't have the Fuumuui paints, but you wanted to use something similar, you could use like an olive green or a gray green, really diluted. And some of these can be darker. And just organically pull it down. The more you start to fuss, the less organic it's gonna look. So don't get too wild and overthink this part of it. Oh, I think that looks really good for background color at this moment. Some of this I might wanna blend a little bit, kind of looks a little splotchy, but all fine and dandy. Maybe we could have a little bit of it coming from this flower as well, down here at the bottom. And so, okay, that looks really good. I like that. But perhaps I wouldn't mind it to look like there's just a little bit more coming from some of these areas of flowers and a little bit more intense. So this is, I think, where I'm going to go in with some of the blue gray, actually. The blue gray 3. And I'm going to go in, and so this, take your brush, wet brush, and we're going to go in. It's not totally dry, but it's not totally wet. And I'm going to add some of this intense color coming from underneath here. And you're going to go in with that not super diluted, okay? It's going to be crazy. It's going to feel crazy. So I got lots of it down there, and I'm going to go clean off my brush. And I'm going to just pull that around a bit and soften it with your wet, clean brush. And just kind of blend it into that, but have like this intensity here. Ooh, that looks cool. This Fuumuui paint for this is unreal. So I'm gonna go and add a little bit of that same kind of technique over in this corner. So you got your wet brush, lots of pigment on it. Go clean off your brush once you get some down, and then soften it. And bring it together here. Ooh la la. That's beautiful. Yeah, I love, love, love that. Just down here to kind of bring all three together, but not quite as much as the other two. And you can go and add more color if you choose, less color, whatever. But I would say less is more. That's kind of my thoughts on watercolor painting. As I've been working with it now for quite a few years, less is definitely more. It's easy to get carried away. So I think that looks really pretty, the way that that all is. So I am going to let that totally dry up, everything full on, because the next step we're going to move into is doing the detail with our Micron Archival Ink Pen, the 01. So you guys can get that ready. Our top petal or top flower up here is dry. So I'm going to start off with that one. If you guys are not totally dry, you guys can hang tight. I'm just waiting for the centers of these two to dry, and then the blue, but that'll dry in no time. So again, with our Micron pen, we want to be loose with our line work. We don't want it to be too wild and crazy, because it can make things look a little bit messy. But if you like that look, totally cool, go ahead. But for me, I have been really enjoying doing the double line work on these. I was doing the single, and it kind of always looked a little bit like it was missing something. So once I started to do the double, it started to feel a little bit better. So I just kind of go over everything a couple of times. And this part takes a few minutes to kind of go over everything. The imperfection is kind of what makes it look really good. I can tell that my pen is kind of dying out on me. I will say If anybody has a better option than the Micron pen for an archival ink pen to use in black, that you can get a bunch of different tips, in drop me what you guys are using, because I like the Micron Archival ink pens because of the different size tips you can get, but they don't really last a long time, I will say. So I'm just going in and putting some petals that are flipping over to kind of give a little bit more movement to these as well. If you've ever seen a Cosmo before in real life, they're very, they're very delicate, and the petals flip over and they're folded out, and there's lots of action going on in the petals. So I will go up and do a little bit of the center of each, trying to keep it quite controlled, not too out of control, just to give that kind of focal point to each petal. That looks really great. So we're going to work on this one down here. It's all totally dried up. We just have this one's, kind of missing a couple petals and whatever, just kind of looks a little bit more natural, because if you've ever also seen these in the wild, because they are so delicate, especially here in Saskatchewan where I live, we get wind like crazy. The other day we had 120k winds out here. That doesn't happen a lot, but it does get pretty windy here. And these flowers there, you often find them and they're missing parts of their petals, and they look a little rough sometimes, but I think that's part of their charm as well. They are so beautiful and they can withstand the wild winds. And then once they start blooming, they bloom and bloom and bloom. The more you cut the flowers, the more they bloom and bloom and bloom. So they are quite a wonderful addition to the garden if you guys are gardeners. I do grow a big flower garden, so that's where the inspiration comes from for a lot of my paintings, is my love for flowers and the ones that I grow. Now we're moving on to this one over on the side here. This pen is giving me some grief today. So you can see by adding just a little bit of movement into those petals, they just all of a sudden become alive, And it doesn't take a whole big bunch. Amazing. I think those look so pretty. I absolutely love that color combination. So I do like to go down the stems a little bit, just very kind of loosely and wonky, just to give a little bit of that line work to the stems as well. And then that'll do it for that part. So if you guys are all totally dried up, you've got your pen done, now we get to go in with our ink. And as I said before, we're going to use the Winsor Newton Gold metallic ink today. I think it really pairs nicely with these muted watercolors from Fuumuui. Maybe the next one I'll use the gold ball or the speedball really gold ink. So for this part, I get out my 10-0 Aqua Elite liner brush. Unfortunately, this ink settles really quickly. So you've got to shake it up midway, or you have to dip down really far down into it. What I do with this part, now this part takes a little while, so I'll show you a few and then I'll speed it up. But I go in and I find some of those little loops, the little gaps, and I put a little bit of the gold in there to add a little bit of highlight. And I go around each petal and add that in there. This is fairly new for me too, doing this part. But just came to me one day when I was playing around, and I really loved it. So I'm just adding some of that gold in there for highlights. Again, as I always tell everybody in each tutorial, if there's a part that you don't like, as in the gold or even the line work, if you don't love the line work, you stop where you love it. You don't have to continue on. If you love my style and you love the gold and you love, or sorry, the metallic and you love the ink, then carry on. But it doesn't offend me if there's something that you don't like and you want to stop before I get to it. You're not super interested in the gold. That's totally cool. That's the beauty of art. And the thing about it is that you can do whatever you want. Oops. Tex is hanging out watching. I'm not sure if you guys can see him right now, but so yeah, I'm just going and putting that down and throughout the flowers and in the little gaps and whatnot, if you guys can see that. I've got the gold down now now with this, sometimes I go over the lines because I am painting from a little far away because I'm doing a YouTube video. So what I'll do is I'll quickly go over some of these areas just to get that line detailed back in there. Because while I think I'm really good at staying in the lines, I'm not. Just get a little bit more detailed for you guys here. As you can see, I'm kind of just going like so. Where that gold is to just enhance it. Some of those are still wet because I love the look of that line. So I'm not adding any more lines. I'm just going over where the lines would have been to begin with, as you can see. So that's what I mean by going back over. I've mentioned it in a couple videos, but I've never really kind of gotten up close and personal here, so you guys could really see. I hope that works out for you guys. So I hope that's a good detailed close-up for you guys of what goes on once I got that gold down, because I have talked about it a couple times. Now for the very last part that I like to do, and I'll keep you guys close for this as well. Just a different angle. Something fun to play with. For me, I'm not the best videographer, but we're trying. So I'm really shaking up that gold Winsor Newton again. This is where I'll get my #1 script brush. I'll dip it in the water to get a fine tip on it. And then I go in and I dip it in there and get lots on it. And again, this isn't everybody's favorite part, but I love it. And I tell everybody, I think I've decided the reason I love it so much is because it reminds me of the pollen in flowers. So I get lots on my brush and then I go right in the center and I start plopping it down like the big glops. And then as it moves out the flower, that's when I like it to be a little bit finer. So I get all that big gloppy, and it doesn't matter if it gets out in the flower. And then I let the little fine dots kind of make their way out to the outer edges of the petals. Just like so. I love this part. I know it's not for everybody. I know that, but I love it. So I stick to it. If you don't like it, don't worry about it. But that's going to do it. And so you can wait till it's totally dry to peel off the tape if you want. Or you can live dangerously like me. Take the tape off. This is unreal. Like, that's gorgeous. I absolutely love that, you guys. Woo! Sometimes when I do a painting, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I should do that on a huge paper and have that on my wall. So, well, this is amazing. It's a little bit wet still, but that turned out amazing. What a beautiful card this is. The colors that I used, absolutely beautiful. I think I have really found an unreal place for these Fuumuui paints. I do love how they look in the flowers, but I love the muted background with a little bit brighter pop of color for the flowers. So I am really digging that. Anyways, you guys, that is going to be the tutorial for the day. If you guys have any questions, please always ask, comment, anything at all. If you want to send me your artwork, I would love to see it. I'm not even kidding when I say that. I would love to see what you guys do so much. And so if you're not tagging me on Instagram, which you absolutely can if you do something and you want me to just see your own artwork, it doesn't even have to be something that I've done. Tag me in it, or you can send it to me. I love seeing other people's art. I love all of that. You guys, it's more than welcomed. So please send it to me. But if you want to send me an email of some of the work that you do, you can send it to Krista Ursulescu. So KristaUrsulescu at gmail.com. We'll use that one. But Instagram is probably better because I do get a lot of emails. And so it's hard sometimes. I might miss them unless I know that there's one coming that I'll keep my eyes peeled for it. So, but yeah, send me your artwork. I would love to see it, and keep creating, keep practicing, keep going for it. Even if you feel discouraged, you guys, I probably 2 nights of the week I get home from work and I just paint away, just because practice makes perfect, and they truly aren't lying when they say that. The more that you practice, the better you get. You can just, even if you look back, as I said, I always like to put the year on it. When I look back at my paintings, it's like amazing to see how much I've evolved because of the time that I've started to really put into painting. So keep practicing, keep painting, keep loving all of that. This is so much fun for me. So thank you guys for supporting me and being around for this fun little journey. It is awesome. So hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Thanks again, and we'll see you guys in the next one.